Hi, I'm Doug, your tech support representative here at Atlantic British, and what I want to touch base on is another one of our kits that we have available, and this one is for the 06 to 09 full-size Range Rover with the Jaguar engine, and it'll apply to both the 4.2 or the 4.4. And this is the oil change kit that we have as part of our Repair and Maintenance Academy, which you can find on our website, as well as a sheet that will be printable. You can download and print the sheet, and it actually not only gives the oil change kit, but it will list all the other kits for the regular maintenance on your vehicle. You'll see the oil change kit right here, LR007160SKA. And what you'll get with that kit is 2 oil filters, 2 drain plugs. The reason being, for 2, oil change is probably going to be the most frequent maintenance you do on your vehicle. And it's probably one of the most important as far as getting longevity and fuel economy out of your engine. And so what I'm going to do is here we have an 06 Supercharged Range Rover, and I'll just give you some of the basics, so we'll show you how to perform the oil change on your vehicle. Alright, so before we begin the oil change, I'd like to give you just a quick rundown on the tools that you're going to find that you're going to need to do this. First off, now I use a power driver, but a 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a 10mm head, because what you're going to need to do is remove the bolts that hold this panel in. You'll see either 2 or 4 down each side, depending on the year of the vehicle. 2 in the back, 4 across the front, these 4 screws, and then you'll also need to pull this center piece out, which just simply pops in. There'll be 2 more bolts there. All the bolts are 10mm, and you'll need a Phillips screwdriver for the 4 screws up here. Once you have this pan down, and we'll show you how to hook it up, you're going to access the filter. What you're going to need is a long 12-inch extension on a long handle ratchet. Swivel works the best, but if you have a solid ratchet, that'll do just fine. I kind of prefer these, which is a basically all-encompassing tool. This will grab just about any oil filter you could possibly use, so this will grab the filter just fine, because you're going to sneak in from the side, because the filter is sort of buried up in the front of the engine. You'll need a 13mm combination wrench. I like the ratcheting style on one end. I can break it loose with the solid end, run it off with the ratchet. A shorter wrench will run just fine. I like the leverage. As I said, I have this tool for the 10mm, which you can use a 1/4-inch ratchet, and then these will be for the top cover that we've already removed off the engine. One thing you might want to think about is this nice little handy tool, and what this is a forma funnel, and you can basically bend it and move it into any direction you want. So when you go to take the filter off, you're going to get a lot of dripping out of it. And you can actually put this over certain components of the front end and whatnot that you would rather not have soaked with oil, and it'll just simply deflect off and run into your drain pan. If you're doing this in your driveway, or you're going to be jacking the vehicle up, or in this case with the air suspension, you can just put these up on overall height or off-road height, and that should give you more than enough room to get underneath. You'll need a drain pan. If you're doing it up on the lift, of course we have a roll-around drain pan as well. So what we're going to do is start off, we're going to remove this front cover, and then we'll show you how to access the filter. Okay, so just to re-explain, here's a forma funnel in place, because what would normally happen here is when I take this drain plug out, which is right here, now these have anywhere from 8 to 9 quarts of oil in them, which if it's fairly warm is going to flow out of there like water, which blows all over the frame. It gets caught up inside and drips and leaks and makes a big mess. With the forma funnel, it'll catch it, run it down into the drain pan. We won't have so much of a mess. So that's the first thing we're going to do. This is why I like the longer wrench, because the extra leverage breaks them loose a lot easier, and then use the ratchet end to run them off. Okay, so now we've got to the point we're just down to a slow drip. We can put the plug back in. We'll make sure we snug that up. Make sure that's good and snug. Take your forma funnel out. Now we're going to set that to the side, because we're still going to need the drain pan, and slide under here where you can see straight up and perpendicular to the frame is the oil filter. Now you could possibly try to get in there with one of those little strap style wrenches, but you really don't have much room to swing it. That's why I recommend the long extension with a ratchet and the grab tool. And we'll work around the plumbing. Being this is a Supercharged, you've got an extra cooler and a little extra plumbing down here than what you'll find on the naturally aspirated, but you can work around it. It won't actually crack loose quite easily. You take it off slowly so that you don't end up splashing oil all over. Once you back the filter out all the way, you're going to get a little splash right there. And we take the filter out. Anytime you do an oil change on any vehicle, always look at the filter you're taking out and make sure that the O-ring is still on there. There are some times where you're going to remove an oil filter and it'll be a little hard coming off, and what may happen is the O-ring may stay on the fitting or on the engine as opposed to the filter. Put a new filter on over that, when you start it up, it's going to leak. So you want to always make sure that that O-ring came off with the filter. Now usually they're always fairly clean. What I like to do is take the old filter and the new filter, just put the O-rings together for a minute. What that'll do is lubricate the new O-ring so that it slides on there and you don't have a chance of cocking or folding. This way you get a nice even seal all the way around. We'll spin that on. Set the ratchet. You just want it good and snug. You don't want to over tighten an oil filter, but you don't want to leave it too loose either. Usually the old rule of thumb is to spin the filter in until you can't turn it by hand anymore, then attach the wrench and go a quarter of a turn, and that should set you right up. So we got a filter in place, we've drained the oil there. We're going to take a rag, we're going to wipe off the little bit of spill that we got on this cross tube, and then we're going to reinstall the bottom panel. Then we'll set this vehicle down and we'll fill it back up with oil. Alright, so we've got everything completely drained, we got our filter changed, we got everything nice and tight, and the bottom pan buttoned back up. This is your fill cap. We'll take that off. Usually it's best to put a funnel in there. You don't want to spill and get a mess all over the place. Now what we do is, normally they take pretty close to 8 quarts, and it may vary a little bit. So what I usually like to recommend is we'll fill it with 7 quarts, and then start her up, let the filter fill up, let it run for a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes, then we'll shut it down, let it sit about 5 minutes. Using a dipstick, we'll check our level, and we'll get an idea how much we need to add then to put the level in the right spot. So now we've run this for several minutes. Let our oil circulate through the system, make sure our filter is full, let it sit for about 5-10 minutes, make sure all the oil drains back into the system. Now we're going to check our level. Bring this up, we'll wipe this off because it's been in there while it was running, which is going to mean an inaccurate reading. Install. So you'll see right now our oil level is a little bit just below the minimum, which is that hole right there. Up top will be maximum. This is not like the old dipsticks where you had add and full. Your ideal height is going to be right in between the 2 dots. And we're going to need just about a quart to top this off. So this is actually going to take about 8 quarts to fill up. So we're going to add 1 more quart. That should top off our system, and we'd be all done. So when you're ready to do the oil change on your Range Rover 06 to 09, the procedure will be the same for both the 4.2 and the 4.4. Give any of our knowledgeable salesmen a call at 1-800-533-2210, and thanks for watching.